Hey there, welcome to SI Now. It's Friday, November 18th, and I'm Maggie Gray. It's hard for us to believe, but this is the 900th episode of SI Now. What started in an office conference room in 2013 has evolved into what you see today. And for all of you who've been with us and watched our show, you have our heartfelt thank you. A little later, we'll take a look back at some of our favorite moments, the good, the bad, and definitely the embarrassing. But first, after a win on Thursday Night Football, are the Panthers back in the playoff conversation? Here is Super Bowl champion Chris Canty with Ryan Lochte.
All right, Chris, it's a feel-good football Friday. We're getting started with 4 downs, and we begin on first down where Cam Newton maybe saves the season. Thursday Night Football, the Panthers hold on to beat the Saints 23-20. Now, this had been a Carolina team that had been reeling, but all of a sudden they've won 3 out of 4 ball games. Maybe should have been 4 in a row with that loss to Kansas City. What do you think? Did Cam save the season for the Panthers?
No. The season for the Carolina Panthers has been over for some weeks now. Listen, they have an opportunity. By no means has the wild card run away from them. The division hasn't run away from them. Nobody's really taken charge in that NFC South. But I don't think the Carolina Panthers are playing the type of ball that they need to in order to be successful. You look at what they did last year. They were able to take away the football. They were able to establish the run, control the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. And this year, they're just not doing it. Last year, plus 20 in turnover margin. This year, minus 5 halfway through the season. So this football team is not playing the way that it needs to in order to be able to win games. They're constructed to be able to do certain things, and right now they're just not being able to execute. So their future doesn't look great this season.
So you're not buying this, because I thought it was pretty interesting. Looking at their last 3 losses, they've all been by 3 points. It gave me the impression that Carolina might be a little closer than we're giving them credit for.
Well, they blew a 17-point lead last week, and they lost to the Kansas City Chiefs. This week, they tried their best to do the same against New Orleans, but they were able to make enough plays at home to be able to hold out and get the win. But the way that they're playing right now, it's just not complimentary football, and that's not the formula for success for Cam Newton and company. I know that he was the reigning defending MVP, but just too many mistakes from him, too many mistakes from his football team, and right now they're trending down.
All right, a lot depends also on the health of Luke Kuechly. Took a big shot last night. We'll see how he fares.
He's on the field too much.
Yeah, he's all over the field, that's for sure.
He's all over the field, but he's on the field too much.
All right, second down. All washed up on Revis Island. Jets GM Mike McCagnon this week defended Darrelle Revis and his signing of the cornerback to that large contract, though. Revis really looked like a shell of himself here, Chris. 2-part question. What have you seen from Revis, and is this the end of the line for a guy who used to be the top corner in the league?
Well, right now I see a liability at the cornerback position. And, it happens when you have a diminishing athletic skill set. But he still has the ball skills. He still has a high football IQ. So I think he can still be effective if he's willing to change positions, potentially go to free safety. But, the Jets organization has to be willing to do that. And, of course, it has to be a cost benefit to them. It's got to be production equal to the pay scale. And right now, Revis, going into 2017, his contract is presently constructed where he's got a 15.3 cap number and he's got a $6 million dead cap. So I think there's some moving parts there. They got to restructure it to get it done, to make it make sense for him to stay on this football team moving forward. But right now, staying at the cornerback position, he's just not an impact player. Teams are taking advantage of him. We saw that last week with Kenny Britton and Los Angeles Rams. By no means
not a juggernaut,
not an explosive passing offense. But, they were able to take advantage of an aging Darrelle Revis. So I think they got to move some things around. They might have to move him to a different position in order to get the most out of him.
Concerning stat, the completion percentage on Revis is 30% higher than any point in his career this season.
Teams are game planning to throw at number 24 in green. Yeah. That's a bad idea.
They used to go
especially when you're paying a guy $17 million a year.
That's right.
Just saying.
Third down, best of the best in the wild, wild west. Broncos, Raiders, Chiefs, all sitting now with 7 wins. Chris, when you look at this group, a lot of talent, some solid football teams. Who is the best of the best in the West?
Well, in order to be the champs, you got to beat the champs. And I know the Oakland Raiders have a regular season win over the Denver Broncos, but I still don't trust Oakland right now. It's a young football team. They're still learning how to win. They don't understand what playing competitive football in December in the National Football League is all about. But the Denver Broncos do, and the Kansas City Chiefs do. 2 very strong defenses. The Kansas City Chiefs, although they give up a lot of yards, they create a lot of turnovers. Number 1 in the National Football League with 22 takeaways. So they're doing a great job. They're going to get even healthier this week with Justin Houston returning. He's a dynamic pass rusher to go along with D Ford, who's really doing his thing now, 10 sacks on the season. So really impressed by what this Kansas City Chiefs team has done. And I think that defensive side of the ball, which is the strength of their team, is only going to continue to improve. Also, the Denver Broncos, they're going to get healthy. DeMarcus Ware should be coming back very soon. Of course, Aqib Talib should be back in the lineup soon. So I really like what they're being able to do. I think the Denver Broncos got to figure out what their identity is on the offensive side of the ball. But head coach Gary Kubiak has an idea on how he wants to play, being a run-first outfit, run-first offense. Not put too much on Trevor Siemian. Don't allow him to make mistakes and give the game away. But it's going to come down to the Denver Broncos and the Kansas City Chiefs. I do think the Oakland Raiders have a chance to make the playoffs this year. We could see 3 teams out of that AFC West. But I think it's going to come down to Kansas City and Denver in terms of who's going to be a real contender in that division.
Should be fun to see how it plays out. They have 4 games head-to-head combined down the stretch here. Denver's off this week. Kansas City hosts the Bucs. Meanwhile, the Raiders are in Mexico to take on the Texans. All right, 4th down, the road ahead for Tony Romo. Despite Jerry Jones saying he has no plans to have Romo play anywhere other than Dallas next season, with Dak Prescott entrenched at QB, you have to think Romo is going to be looking for a new team. Chris, who would be the best fit for Romo in 2017?
Well, I think there's a right answer in this situation, and it's clear. It's the Denver Broncos. It's a team that's comfortable with having a veteran quarterback that's past his prime, being able to step in because you have a championship defense. You got a guy that can be able to manage the games for you, facilitate that offense. It's going to be a run-first outfit with Gary Kubiak and the Denver Broncos anyway, but they need somebody that's able to make the plays in the passing game and somebody that understands the value of being able to punt the football, not making the critical mistakes that cost your teams the game. I think that's something that Tony Romo can do if he's available. And when I say that, I mean if he's healthy, because it's a situation where he hasn't played much in the last two seasons because of the back injury. So you wonder if he can continue to hold up. But I think the Denver Broncos is a good place for him to fit, allow him to be able to play, and then also mentor Paxton Lynch at the same time, being able to help his development, because right now he's not ready to step in and be the starter for that Denver Broncos team. So I think Tony Romo, the Denver Broncos, I think it will be a good marriage. Let's just see if it happens.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of teams will be lining up for Romo's services, but no doubt he's going to pick, if he has a choice here, he's going to go to a team that's ready to win now. He's not going to surround himself with a team kind of.
No, he's not going to rebuild this thing, but here's what I'm going to say about this. It makes so much sense that it's probably not going to happen. That's how the National Football League works. But I'm just saying, I think there's a clear right answer in terms of where he should fit in this offseason in terms of the quarterback carousel. It's the Denver Broncos. It makes a lot of sense. We'll see if John Elway and company can get it done.
Very good point. Chris, great being with you on our 900th episode here today of SI Now Live. Thanks, man. All right.
It's 9. It's a good number.
900. All right. Coming up, my interview with boxer Andre Ward, who will take on Sergey Kovalev in this weekend's much-anticipated light heavyweight showdown in Las Vegas. But first, here's SI Now fantasy contributor Michael Beller with this week's Stardom and Situm.
Week 11 is the last heavy bye week of the season, with 4 teams, including the fantasy-rich Falcons and Chargers, taking a seat. It's time to make the tough borderline calls in this week's edition of Stardom or Situm. Fantasy and real-life football are not perfect mirror images. No one puts that on display better than Blake Bortles, who is a worthy starter this week. Bortles has been mostly terrible for the Jaguars this year, but is 10th in total fantasy points among quarterbacks and 12th in points per game. Bortles and the Jaguars take a trip to Detroit this week, where he'll get to face a Lions defense that has allowed the 2nd most points per game to quarterbacks this season. It might not be pretty, but Bortles will be a QB1. Sit Jameis Winston. The Buccaneers visit Kansas City, putting Winston in the hostile environment of Arrowhead Field. He has been better at home this year, averaging 19.94 fantasy points per game in Tampa and 17.55 elsewhere. The Chiefs also play a slow brand of football that will limit possessions for both teams and decrease the overall ceiling for the Buccaneers offense. CJ Prosise shined for the Seahawks last week and belongs in his owner's lineups in Week 11. Even if he cedes most of the team's carries to the returning Thomas Rawls, he's going to be a major factor in Seattle's passing attack. The rookie out of Notre Dame caught 7 passes for 87 yards last week, the 2nd time in the team's last 3 games that he had at least 80 receiving yards. Russell Wilson has never had a weapon like Prosise during his Seattle tenure. He will make great use of the pass-catching back. Not only should Terrence West be on your bench this week, it's hard to see him as a fantasy starter for the rest of the season. He has 96 yards on 44 carries in his last 3 games and is likely to give up more carries to Kenneth Dixon beginning this week. The Ravens are in Dallas on Sunday, facing a ball control offense that is almost certain to create a game script that does not play to West's strengths. He's no more than a low-end RB3. Out at receiver, it's time to trust Cameron Meredith once again. With Alshon Jeffrey suspended, Meredith should be the top receiver at Jay Cutler's disposal. The second-year player out of Illinois State has had 2 games this season where he was the starter and got more than 2 targets. In those games, he had 20 catches for 243 yards and a touchdown, good for 15.15 points per game in standard scoring leagues. He's a volume-based low-end wide receiver 2 or high-end wide receiver 3 this week. Ty Montgomery played just 22 snaps last week, with James Starks returning and taking over as Green Bay's lead back. Montgomery may be a receiver only in many fantasy leagues, but he surged to prominence once he started getting ample carries. With Starks in command of the backfield and Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb, and Devontae Adams entrenched as the team's top 3 receivers, Montgomery is now the odd man out. At tight end, keep rolling with Kyle Rudolph. Forget for a second his tough matchup this week with an Arizona defense that has allowed the fewest points per game to tight ends. Rudolph is 3rd among tight ends in targets and 4th in targets per game. He has 37 catches for 392 yards and 5 touchdowns on the year. Any tight end who gets that sort of volume and delivers more often than not deserves to be in your lineup, regardless of matchup. With consecutive strong games in his rearview mirror, Zach Ertz is going to be someone we talk about as a fantasy starter more often than not for the rest of the season. This is not one of those weeks. The Eagles visit Seattle and take on a Seahawks defense that has allowed the 7th fewest points per game to tight ends. Ertz is not quite as integral to Philadelphia as Rudolph is to Minnesota, which prevents you from ignoring the matchup. Stay away from the Eagles tight end this week. Finally, in a strong week for defense streamers, the best option is the Miami Dolphins. Jared Goff will make his NFL debut against the Dolphins on Sunday, opening the door for a monster performance against a quarterback who might not be ready for the moment. The Dolphins defense ranks 11th at the position in points this season, racking up 22 sacks and 12 takeaways. They should add to both of those totals on Sunday. That'll do it for the Week 11 edition of Stardom or Sit 'em. I'll see you all here next week for waiver wire advice. Until then, this is Michael Beller wishing you good luck this weekend.
Thank you, Michael. Well, it's not getting the attention of a Pacquiao-Mayweather or UFC 205, but it should. The light heavyweight bout between Andre Ward and Sergey Kovalev has all the makings of the fight of the year. Yesterday, Ryan caught up with the Oakland native and former gold medalist Andre Ward to talk about what this fight will mean to his legacy and the challenges of moving up in weight class.
All right, Andre, you move up to 175 pounds to face light heavyweight champion Sergey Kovalev. What would it mean to you to complete this transition and defeat him on Saturday night?
I mean, it means everything. Multi-divisional champion. That would make me a 5-time world champion, and continue to solidify my spot in boxing history. At this stage of my career, every moment means everything, and this moment is no different.
Have you given yourself any time away from preparation to really sit back and think about what is on the line when it comes to your legacy in this fight?
I mean, I know what's on the line here, and but I try not to look too much at what I've accomplished or go too far ahead. It's very important, as a professional athlete, especially in big moments, is to stay in the moment, and that's what I try to do.
Andre, what's been your biggest challenge in dominating the light heavyweight division as opposed to the super middleweight division?
I mean, I don't know if there's been any glaring challenges. I mean, whether it's 168 pounds, the super middleweight division, or the move up to light heavyweight, I haven't, really had any easy touches, so to speak, or any soft opponents. So, I've fought a host of champions. I'm fighting another champion here Saturday night. So they're never easy, and it's always challenges within, the fight itself. But there's been nothing glaring that has surprised me or made me feel like, I made a mistake by going up.
You've talked about some of your other opponents. You've gone 30-0 with 15 knockouts. What sets Kovalev apart from some of the other guys you have fought?
I mean, I fought some great champions, and just a different challenge, and we'll see what type of different challenge he presents. He's a great boxer, he's a great puncher, and he's undefeated, and so he doesn't really know how to lose. But the only problem is I'm trying to leave with everything that I have as well and gain some, which is my reputation as well as his championship belts. So that's going to make for a tremendous fight Saturday night.
Now, you're both very similar in size, and in some aspects you may even be bigger than him. How are you preparing for Kovalev?
I think, you know, with any big fight, you just need to have a made-up mind. You know, if there's an ounce of doubt, you have problems. You know, you have to just make up your mind that, you know, no matter who you're fighting, and in this case it's Kovalev, that, you know, the night of the fight is going to be my night. And that's what you continue to drill in your head day in and day out, whether you feel good that day in the gym or had a good day or a bad day. That's the mentality. And, you know, that's the mentality that I'm taking into this fight, and I've taken into every championship fight that I've had.
Now, how much of that preparation is mental and how much of it is physical for you?
Yeah, that's a tough question. You know, that's it's hard to say what percentage is which, but you can't have one without the other, that's for sure. You know, the mental is very important. You know, honestly, I think that's my greatest asset as a fighter, and has always been one of my greatest assets. I'm not the biggest guy. I've never been the biggest guy, regardless of what weight class I've been in. I'm not the strongest. I'm not the hardest puncher, not the most skilled. I think, you know, the totality of who I am makes me who I am, but I think, you know, what separates me is the mental game.
Now, Kovalev said this week that he's expecting a street fight on Saturday night. How about you? What do you expect on Saturday?
Man, he can bring whatever he wants to bring, you know, however he wants to do it. It's no problem with me.
All right, Andre, thanks for joining us, and good luck on Saturday night.
Thank you.
To Ryan, as we mentioned, this is our 900th episode of SI Now, and if you are watching this on our live stream, there is only one man to thank, Dave Sancherico. Dave, thank you so much for getting our show on air every day and also writing headlines on all of our videos. We appreciate that. All right, there's so much more action across the country this week. Here's a look at everything that's going on from coast to coast. This is SI Now's Weekend Drive presented by Toyota. Let's go places. First, we head to Las Vegas. Sergey Kovalev and Andre Ward put their undefeated records on the line. Andre Ward says the war of words between the two fighters will mean nothing come Saturday night.
We're not supposed to like each other. You know, his side has been doing a lot of talking, and that's fine. We love it. It's okay. It's not our first rodeo. We've been down this road before. We don't always respond right away because, and sometimes our silence is misinterpreted as we don't understand or we don't get it. No, we get it. We watch. We take notes. But in the meantime, we keep working, and then we produce come fight night. That's what we specialize in. So all the talking is great. I love it. But know one thing, I'm not taking no mess come Saturday night. I'm going to be there.
This one looks to be one of power versus technique, with the winner proving to be the pound-for-pound world champion. Next, some college hoops, where 21-ranked Rhode Island will meet number 24 Cincinnati in the Naismith Memorial Hall of Fame tip-off. Both teams feature Player of the Year candidates within their respective conferences, and Bearcats coach Mick Cronin knows that this will be the first big test for his team.
It's an opportunity to get a great win, but you got to get your team into battles. You know, if I learned anything coaching this team through the Big East years, you got to get your team battle tested before they're ready to win in those type of games. So you got to play those games. So like right now, we're spending our time trying to schedule great non-conference games for next year. It's just hard for us to get them.
The winner will face either Penn State or top-ranked Duke in the tournament final. Lastly, we head to Morgantown, West Virginia, where the Oklahoma Sooners and the Mountaineers will meet in a game that not only has Big 12 title implications, but the winner could play their way into the college football playoff. West Virginia cornerback Maurice Fleming knows how tight their #1 scoring defense will have to play this weekend.
It's just a brotherhood on and off the field. On the field, you don't want to let your teammates down. I mean, it's very emotional. It's a violent game. And it's like you got to do what you got to do. You got to sacrifice your body sometimes. And that's what you have to do. It's just part of it.
The Mountaineers have won 13 of their last 15 games, including 8 straight at home. And that's what's in store for this weekend. So as we said, today is the 900th episode of SI Now. believe Jon Wertheim has been here for about 850 of those episodes, usually being called in at the very last minute to talk about a variety of topics. And I guess, Jon, I'm going to hand this over to you. This goes against every one of my instincts, by the way.
You like to ask the questions, not answer them. But first of all, 900 shows. Yeah. Congrats. You are Tim Duncan, Cal Ripken, and Brett Favre all rolled into one in a compressed period, so congrats on that.
No,
but you've had quite a ride here already. The best is yet to come. But you know what story I always remember? Recency effect, perhaps, but part of this job is guests coming here. Part of them is you going out. When you went to a marijuana exposition, I still remember that. Tell us what happened.
You know, you go where the job takes you, John. You know that better than anyone. We went to the cannabis conference here in New York City. We went to interview Jim McMahon and a couple other former NFL players to find out kind of what the deal was with cannabinoids and medicinal marijuana, and what we found was not exactly what I thought.
Let's have a look at that.
Does marijuana in its full form, medical, any other way, does it have a PR problem?
I never understood why they lumped it in with cocaine and heroin. It's not a drug, it's a medicinal herb, and it's so much better for you. It grows naturally everywhere in the world.
The opioids and painkillers are league sanctioned, so you get hurt, you're handed a bottle of pills. Whether or not you take them is up to you.
I think they're in cahoots with Big Pharma. My whole career they were pushing pills on you. For whatever ailment you had, they had a pill for it.
Jim McMahon and Nate Jackson, and they actually said they thought the NFL was in bed with Big Pharma. That's quite a charge. What do you think of that?
You know, you never really know what you're going to go into in an interview. You can have an idea, but when someone like Jim McMahon, who has struggled, I mean, really been to hell and back for a variety of reasons, but when he makes that kind of claim, I mean, that makes you sort of sit up in your seat a little bit. Now, is there any way to substantiate that? No, that'd be very hard to do, but I mean, this is what he thinks. He thinks that the league was really pushing drugs on these players because they had a vested interest to do so. So that was very difficult to hear, and that was a story that got a lot of traction. And you know, your heart goes out to a guy like Jim McMahon. It really does. He's struggling.
Let's be clear. Not all of your segments have been that heavy, that weighty. You've done some participatory journalism as well. I remember G-Force Maggie Gray. I remember you getting into a car with a famous race car driver. Am I recalling that correctly?
I think so.
I'm so scared right now.
That's all right.
Okay, go ahead and put your cell phone out.
So you liked it? What do you want to do with the key? I'll take it.
My hands are shaking. It's really fast. It's really fast.
How high did you get that up to?
Yeah, 180. Mario told me later. And, you know, you can tell when you're being paid to talk for a living and all you can say after is, we were going really fast, really, really fast. That was very, very scary. And then a whole new wave of nausea hit when later on I got to meet and interview Mario Andretti, and he's nearly 80 years old. And I realized basically my grandfather was driving me 180
I was thinking you did that, I think, in South Florida, right?
Yeah,
in Broward County. You say, oh, you know, an elderly man in Broward County took me for a drive. You didn't think you'd hit 180 doing that?
No, I didn't. And
left his turn signal on?
And I was really shaken up by that. But, you know, all in all, it was a very memorable experience. Not many people can say they were in an Indy car with Mario Andretti, but you can't tell from that clip. I'm screaming the entire time. My eyes are shut. And I thought we were in there for 5 minutes. It was 45 seconds.
Your folks see that one?
Yeah.
How'd your mother feel about that?
She was like, you should have went to law school. I always told you should have went to law school.
The not quite as high a degree of difficulty, but did a little ice skating too, as I recall. I don't know if we have the clips from that one.
I think they've been burned, haven't they?
This is your upstate New York provenance coming out. This is your Buffalo area upbringing. You did all right on skates, didn't you?
No, I didn't. I'm a disgrace and a complete and utter embarrassment. Yeah, let's watch.
Okay, so we're gonna just go forward. Okay, now the trick to ice dance is that you have to your team, right?
Yeah, I feel like my hands are I'm hanging on for dear life.
A little bit. Okay. And now we're gonna go backwards, but you just stay, and I'm just gonna push you. Oh, look at that!
I'm doing nothing.
Look at it.
I'm literally.
Look at. Okay, wait. Now 2 feet.
Oh no.
Yeah. Keep going. In. And
out. Superstar.
I see as much trepidation there on the Rockefeller Center rink as I think I saw when you went 180 miles an hour on city streets with Mario Andretti. I thought you were better than that. I got to be honest.
You know what's funny is that every time these opportunities come up, I get really excited about them. Like, this is going to be great. We're going to make a great segment. And then when you start doing it, the fear comes in and you just don't want to make a fool out of yourself. And there's just so many things that start going through your mind. But that was really embarrassing. Plus, they're gold medalists. I mean, it's not like you're just out there in front of anyone. I mean, these two represented our country, Sochi 2014, came home with the gold, and then they have to be out there with me, just like, you know, big slobbering dog on ice skates. It was kind of funny, but that was very memorable. They were very patient and kind, and I didn't fall, so that was fun.
Don't be so hard on yourself. You just wanted to make them look good. You go out on the road, but you also have all sorts of guests come in here to the studio. You never tell you walk down here literally on the way to the cafeteria, you never know who you're going to run into. It's John Calipari one day, it's MMA fighters the next day. Remember, Ryan Lochte he's become sort of remember what Alec Baldwin is to Saturday Night Live? Just the regular, the tree trunk guest that you can always rely on. How many times has Ryan Lochte been in here?
He's been in this studio twice and back in our old studio once also. And, you know, Lochte, I got to be honest, for years, I thought it was an act. I thought it was him sort of playing it up of being this sort of like, you know, bro and just sort of, you know, the jock.
Let's take a look at you and Ryan one of the 3 times he came in here.
We're so glad you're here so we can play a game of sink or swim. We know you are a huge sports fan, so we'll ask you a couple questions. You tell us sink or swim, yes or no. So you have heard of the Rob Gronkowski party cruise, right?
Swim.
I didn't even ask the question yet. You're already on board.
That was after he did some SAT tutoring, I think, that he came in here. I like the Rob Gronkowski pairing, though.
Yeah, right? What doesn't that mean? Talk about your next sitcom. You have it right there. NFL Network, I'll just take 10% of that fee. But it's like, you know, that's a moment where I was so genuinely laughing on camera. You know, you have to be so aware of sort of how you are and your hands and your body and all this stuff. And I just couldn't hold it in. And I'm starting to go, and I just fell into tears again. And then obviously everything in Rio happened, and we were looking back at it.
Pre-Rio.
This is pre-Rio. And he was in that day promoting body hair removal kits. It was
swim.
Swim. Yeah, didn't even ask the question. The question was, would you be the lifeguard on the Rob Gronkowski party cruise? He also said swim to that.
So his answer was,
of course.
Boy, yeah. I think you're onto something. That's a double swim. Yeah. You had guests here who had a little more success in Rio than Ryan Lochte did. You had the gymnasts come in here as well. What was that like?
Yeah, the whole Final Five. I mean, think back to this summer. They were the biggest things on the planet, all 5 of them doing this major and well-deserved victory lap through New York City. And we got the heads up they were coming in. They were going to do something with People magazine and also with Sports Illustrated. I don't know how word spread through the building that they were here, although I'm not surprised. But I've never seen just maybe dozens, maybe 100 people just outside.
What happened when they came in here?
Yes. Do we have footage of that? Oh, my God. This was from your Instagram account, Simone. This is you ladies on the beach.
Yeah.
Whoa, holy abs of steel. Wow. How do you get abs like that? Please, we have to know.
Well, we trained so hard. Like Ali said in another interview, she said it doesn't happen overnight, and it definitely doesn't. We've worked so hard for the bodies that we have, but I don't know, we just train so hard. It's not anything specific besides like ab workouts.
Nice easy rapport, I noticed, and you brought that out in them, but they really seem to have the drill down.
No, they did. I mean, we had a lot of fun thinking up segments for them because, you know, they were getting a lot of the same questions over and over again. How does it feel? What does it mean? That kind of stuff. We really wanted to go a little bit deeper. So we went through the Instagram account. We played a little game with them called Better Than Efron. Like, was, you know, some famous person. Yes, someone who congratulated them. Was it better than Zac Efron or not? And we had some little gymnasts from around the country send in questions for them, which was really cute. They were just amazing, but they were rock stars. I've never seen that many people in our own building come out just to get a glimpse. And they snuck out the back door and gave everyone the slip.
This is under 5 foot Beatlemania.
Yes, it is.
You break some news from time to time as well. The swimsuit issue obviously is a big deal in these parts. You do a little cover revealing some days, as I understand.
You know, that's the worst because I am an awful actor. Just terrible. I have no instincts whatsoever. I can't hold it in. No, it's true. And twice they've had me reveal the cover to whoever's on the swimsuit issue, and we
Hannah Davis, one of them.
Davis
is that
was
correct?
one of them, and just you look at Hannah, obviously, but my bad acting skills. We have a photo of this year's swimsuit edition, and guys, what happened? Okay. It's technical difficulties. Well, do you guys have a photo? Can you just bring one into the studio? Is that possible?
Well, hey, I'm sorry I'm delivering the photo that you're waiting for from this year's issue, which is the cover, Hannah Davis. Congratulations. No, are you sure? Reflect on this. I'm positive.
Congratulations.
You pulled that off.
What are you, crazy? I'm like, oh, guys, technical difficulties. Also, my job at that point is just to get away, just get out of the shot.
But this is this always occurs very, very early in February, right?
Yeah, it does. It occurs early in February, and usually, there's another big event that happens in early February, which is
football game, right?
Yeah, a little football game, the Super Bowl, and our intrepid leader, Ian Orifice, came up to me in Phoenix, and we were at the Super Bowl, and he goes, "Listen, I'm going to give you the option here. You can either reveal the swimsuit cover to Hannah Davis, or you can stay here and you can cover the Super Bowl." And I said, she's like, "I gotta think about it." And he goes, 10 million views, 100,000 views. And I said, all right, I'll go back. So I missed Malcolm Butler's interception.
Say, Phoenix was Patriots Seattle, so at least you didn't miss a good game.
I know, geez. And after I just sat through, Broncos, Seahawks, the first, one where the Broncos got totally blown out.
Exactly.
And that was, gosh, I've been now to 6 Super Bowls in a row with Sports Illustrated.
It's good. Speaking of football, can we go tight on your shoes?
Yeah.
Are those your, are those
These are my kicking shoes.
Are those your field goal? Exactly. You knew where I was going with that. Are those your field goal kicking shoes? I think you have a, you may denigrate your acting skills. You may denigrate your ice dancing skills. You can kick that football, though, can't you?
I kicked that thing in Kansas City. Jan, I don't want to disappoint you. Our intrepid associate producer, Gene, is there to return this. No, you don't. Bring it in. All right. 1, 2, 3.
2 over.
1, 2.
Then you nod and look. You're ready. Go ahead. You know what?
Ooh, I hit the side there.
That was tremendous.
Thank you.
That was tremendous.
Thank you.
If we were into symbolism, there's a metaphor in there somewhere. That was about 48, 49 yards out, and it cleared the upright.
Oh, definitely.
We only had one camera, so
I know.
we couldn't show that.
I had my second career as an NFL kicker. Jan Sennerud was, complete gentleman. He's a really sort of, worldly guy, and I felt a lot of pressure there with him because he was giving me this kicking lesson. The first one went into the side of the building, the Chiefs facility, and then we did one more that didn't make it in, and I kicked the ball on top of the roof of their overhang, and that was it. Shoot was over.
You get to keep the football?
No, it's on the top of the roof, still in Kansas City.
Still there in Kansas City?
Still there. Well, another thing you didn't know about that shoot, it was so hot that day. It was so hot, had this breeze, it was blowing. Everyone who was out there was just such a trooper that day because it was difficult.
The good news, we don't need you to kick footballs. We need you to keep doing what you're doing to the next 900. Yeah. Thanks for all you do.
Oh, thanks. I obviously get a lot of the attention, and I get to do a lot of the cool things here, but it would not be at all possible without our phenomenal team. I want to bring them out. 900th episode, guys. Come on out.
Yeah.
Because you never get the credit that you deserve. Tiffany, who I'm going to miss so much, Gene, John, Max, and Steve, DT, and Joe are in the control room. Was Anne-Marie here? Did she leave? And also Laura, our bookers and talent coordinators. You guys, I know I'm not the easiest some days. All days, some days, but you really make this job fun, and you do such a great job. Oh, yeah, where's Shay? Shay's on my prompter. That's why she does the teleprompter, and I love her. Thank you guys. I'll never be able to truly thank you enough. You're awesome. Gonna miss you too, Star. Jeez. Aw, this is the end of an era. DT and Joe in the control room, and Dio, you guys do such a fabulous job. All the people who make the show happen every day, and great guests like John also. Thanks for walking us through that. All right, guys.
Thanks,
that's gonna do it for the 900th episode of SI Now. We will have a great weekend. We're going to go celebrate, but we'll see you back here on Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern. Of course, stick with SI.com for all the latest news, and follow us on Twitter at SI Now Live. I have to imagine we're going to put up a couple party pics on the Twitter feed today. Have a great weekend. We'll see you back here Monday. Oh. Are you kidding? And the UFC fighters are here to give you a happy birthday. Wow, guys. Oh, wow. Thank you for that. That was amazing. You guys are as good as singers as you are fighters. I heard that you and I have a little something in common. You have a dog named Rusty, and I have a dog named Rusty. So let me see your Rusty. Can we show up to us?
This one.
Oh.
So you hit it, you make the touchdown, they put the hands up, and you just.
And what is this? What is that? What are we calling this thing? Hey.
Hey. You know, just push it side to side.
That was it. It's Halloween, and I'm told our crew has the most amazing costumes. Here's a look at the folks who bring SI Now to you each and every day. Yes, guys. No! Oh, no. No! You guys did not. That is horrible.